everyone, this is Crystal, and today I'm working in my Project Life album for 2019, and I'm documenting our very first snow of the season. So this happened on November 12th. I have two photos. One is of our backyard with my two pups out playing in the snow, and the other is of the forecast and temperature for that day. I'm using the Citrus Twist Kit December kit. This is the Hustle and Heart kit. I have the whole kit here. It's the first time I've used it. I also have the stamp add-ons for December, just in case I decide to use any of those. I'm using a 4-pocket 6x8 page. That means I'll have some extra space for journaling and maybe even a title or a filler page or a pocket as well. So I'm going to put you on fast forward and get started. So I'm going to start by trimming my photos. You can see I printed them on a 4x6 photo paper, and I need to trim them down to fit into the pockets. I decided to leave a white border around the screenshot just because I felt like that would help it stand out from whatever background paper I chose to put behind it. Now I'm looking through the cards that came in this kit to pick out a few to use in my pockets. I've picked out 3, but I'm only going to end up using 2 of those, and I'm going to end up using a piece of paper behind the third. Actually, in the third pocket. One of those is going to go behind my screenshot. I'm going to move things around quite a bit as we work through this page. I did think about using that 3x4 card that came in the ephemera pack, but I decided that I liked the heart wood grain card a little bit better, so I will save that for another project. And now I'm just going to look through all of the gorgeous little pieces that came in this ephemera pack and pick out a few that might work on this page. So I'm just going to make a little pile of ephemera off to the right side there and have that to choose from. So I'm basically just narrowing down what was in this pack to those things that might work on this page. Otherwise, I end up getting pretty overwhelmed as I work through each individual card, and having just a smaller pile of things to work with helps keep my focus, and I don't get so distracted by all the pretty things. Okay, so I still need one more piece to go behind my pocket, and I was thinking about using one of those 4x6 cards, the one with the snowflakes. I thought it would work well with the other snowflake card that I have, but I'm going to end up going with paper, like I said, instead. I pulled out these 2 to choose from. I want to create a title on this page, and I don't always do that in my Project Life album, but because this is the first snow of the season, I thought I really should draw attention to that. Plus, I really wanted to use these gorgeous puffy alphas. They are my favorite color, and I'm really just loving how beautiful they are, and they're the perfect size for a title in a little 3x4 pocket. So I was testing out those 2 papers to see which one I liked the title on best, but neither of them really worked. I didn't think that the title stood out enough on either one of those. So I'm going to end up putting the title on this 3x4 card with the wood grain and the white heart, and then adding my journaling below that. And since I decided to do that, I decided to move things around a bit. So I've moved that card up to the top left corner, which is just the logical place for a title in my mind. And then I moved that snowflake card underneath my screenshot. So then I needed a piece to go in the bottom right hand corner, and this is just going to basically be a filler card. So I chose the lighter one just because the dark blue one felt a little too heavy for this page. And I've also added a few of the snowflakes from the ephemera pack. I've sprinkled those around on 2 of the cards, and I've added a label to the center of the card. I'm planning to do some stamping in that spot. But first I wanted to look through the chipboard pieces. I really wanted to include some of these chipboard pieces. They are gorgeous. They have wonderful phrases. I had thought about using that little arrow from the ephemera pack above my title, but it was pointing the wrong direction. So instead, I grabbed the one from the chipboard piece that says "Here we go," which I feel like is the perfect sentiment for the beginning of the winter season. And I'm also looking through the little phrase stickers. I do end up finding one that says "freaking cold," and it couldn't be more perfect for the photo of the temperature of that day. But it was a bit small, and it was going to get lost on that busy card, so I just added it to a little label from the ephemera pack, and that's going to help it stand out a bit. And I'm just going to overlap that on top of that screenshot photo. So like I said, I know I want to do some stamping on the label that I've added to the filler card. I also added a bit of chipboard there. There's a little wood grain heart, and that just tied in the wood grain from my title card perfectly. So I'm going to add that to that filler card as well. I did spend quite a bit of time looking through all the stamps, trying to figure out which ones I wanted to use. There were so many that would have worked well on this page. I had a really hard time narrowing it down. I thought maybe I could add another one by putting it on a label and adding it to my other photo, but when I did that, it just looked too busy. For some reason, that one little label was just too much for the page for me, so I decided just to stick with the stamping on the label on the filler card. But I will try out a couple other things as I work through this. So I've decided to go with 2 stamps, but I'm still being indecisive. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue everything else down while I make my final decisions. So I'm adding just some tape runner behind the die cut ephemera pieces, but behind the chipboard I actually pulled off a few of the layers. So that included the adhesive that it came with, and then a few more layers just to make it not so bulky in my pocket. That means I had to use some liquid glue, because if you try and use tape runner on that chipboard, it just peels right off. So liquid glue I found is the best way to get those to adhere once you've pulled off some of the layers. So I just added a little bit of liquid glue. That's a fine line bottle with some Scotch tacky adhesive inside. And now I'm finally ready to do my stamping. I've decided on a combination of 2 stamps. I'm not using the stamp that came with the kit for this one. I'm going to use the Traveler's Notebook stamp and the larger 4x6 stamp that actually, is it 6x8? I think it's 6x8. The larger stamp that that was released in December as well, the Hustle and Heart stamp. So I've combined 2 of the stamps. One says "For the Love of," and then the other one says "Right Now." I'm going to combine those on this label to just have the phrase "For the love of right now." And while I don't love these super cold temperatures, my dogs certainly do. They love being outside, and that's what I'm going to write about on my journaling. So it seemed like a perfect sentiment. I used some gray ink just because I felt like black would have been too bold. It would have just stood out a little bit too much on this page. Gray just kind of helps it blend in a little bit. And then I'm going to add that label to my filler card. I did make it a little bit higher than center. I had thought about adding it to the center, but I wanted it to be just a little bit offset, so I added it just a bit higher on the page, and then I'm layering these 2 snowflakes around it. I did add that snowflake on top, but it was taking up too much of the space on the label, so I'm going to move it and add it underneath my label. And I did just add adhesive to the center of my label so that I could tuck things in around it if I decided to. And then finally I'm going to finish it off with that little wood grain heart, and it's the perfect little finishing touch for this filler card. I really like the way that it turned out. And then that's it. I'm going to add my journaling off camera. And I did forget to add a date stamp before I photographed it, but I went back and added a date just so I could commemorate which day it was that we had our first snow this year. And that's it. So there are the close-up photos. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you all back here soon.